Hey everyone. So I've been contemplating on posting this video all day long because I realize that it will draw a lot of controversy in certain areas and it might be trigger warning for some people. In this video I will be speaking about bullying and a few other things. I really feel like these matters should be taken seriously. Today I was trespassed from my son's school. A little bit of a backstory. Over the last 2 weeks, let me restart over, okay? Last year, when my son was in kindergarten, he was being bullied because he is autistic and he is different. And I tried to, address the issue with the school over and over again, but they did nothing. So I guess I'm reaching out to social media to try to spread awareness on what to do if you're in my situation. Okay? His bullying has gotten to the point where I could not even put him on the school bus this year. I had to pull him off the school bus because of how badly he was being bullied on the bus last year. I brought it to the school's attention over and over and over again, letting them know that my son was telling me he was being bullied and that kids were being mean to him because he was different. And, sorry. This year, things were going great. I've been bringing him to school every day for a month and a half. Well, over the last 2 weeks, my son has been having an issue with going into the cafeteria to eat breakfast and lunch. And he is like petrified to go in there, and I couldn't understand why. He would cry every time I would try to leave him. He would beg me not to go, and I thought that it was just because he was having an attachment problem. Come to find out, it was because he's being bullied again. So I tried to reach out to the school every day for 2 weeks. I tried to reach out to them, and all they kept telling me was, I'll look into it, we'll look into it, just to basically brush me off. So yesterday, I go to pick my son up from school early because I had a doctor's appointment. And Christopher, my son, was, saying that his back was burning. So I looked at his back, and my son had a 4-inch gash on his side. I asked him what happened. He said that 2 students pushed him into a fence, and when he told the teacher, she didn't do anything about it. So I tried to address the issue with the school this morning after being blown off for 2 hours yesterday of repetitive calling, repetitive asking to speak to someone that can get this matter handled. And I show up there today and I respectfully ask if this happens again to please notify me, because yesterday I was not notified about him being hurt. And the principal flew out of her office like a child and said, well, your husband was disrespectful and rude to me on the phone yesterday and was cursing at me. I said, no, ma'am. I said, he did not get disrespectful until you did. My husband told me that when he called yesterday that she was very condescending. She was very avoidative. I don't even know if that's a word, y'all, but she was very avoiding of the situation and just basically was blaming everybody else, but instead of taking responsibility for what was going on with our child. So at this point, my husband's so frustrated, she tells us to call the superintendent. So we did. Well, this morning when I go in there, to ask about, to be notified, I calmly explained, I would really appreciate it if I could be notified the next time an incident like this happens, because it wouldn't have gotten blown out of proportion yesterday if the principal wouldn't have been so rude to my husband. And then that's when she flies out of her office and starts screaming at me, your husband was rude to me and was cursing at me and this and that, And I'm just like, no, he was not. He was extremely professional until you got rude and nasty. I said, and then he reacted the same way you were treating him. No, that's not true. That's not what happened. I said, well, I can tell you what's happening. My son is being bullied daily, and you're doing nothing about it. She looked at me and flat out told me I am a liar, and that my son's a liar, and that if he really wanted anything to be done, that he should speak up. Now, mind you, my son has autism. He cannot verbalize his feelings. He cannot verbalize when something is wrong. He just acts out because he doesn't understand what he's feeling or what's going on inside of his head. And she said, well, I know for a fact that he's not being bullied. I said, my son told me he's being bullied, and I believe him. I already called the superintendent about this matter, is what I told her. She said, in a very nasty voice, oh, well, let's just file the bully report right now, and grabs a sticky note. And I said, ma'am, with all due respect, I said, I'm here to file this report with Miss Wagner, which was the woman I spoke with yesterday on the phone, because the principal told the office to lie to me and say she wasn't there. But then Miss Wagner slipped up and told me that she was. The principal just didn't want to deal with me. Her name is Kathleen Bentley at Fuggit Elementary. And after I, told her that I had called the superintendent, and she, did the sticky note and everything, and I told her, I was like, I already spoke to Miss Wagner yesterday, and she told me to come in and file the bully report. That's what they call it, is a bully report. And she's like, extremely rude, extremely nasty, goes and calls the police as soon as I told her that I called the superintendent. She went into the office and called the police on me. And then they wouldn't let me leave until the police got there. I'm upset and boo-hoo ugly crying at this point because I'm under the impression that I'm being arrested. And the police come, and she comes out of the office and everything. And I'm sitting there boo-hoo crying. And the officer's like, well, and I tried to explain to him what's going on and everything, and the principal's like, I want her trespassed. I said, how am I going to be actively involved in my son's education? He has an IEP and an FAB, which is a functional assessment or assertive behavioral plan, because my son has, autism on top of ADHD and DMDD, which is bipolar, depression, and explosive anger all in one. But because he's just turned 7, he's too young to diagnose with those diagnoses. I tried to explain that to the police officer, and I told him, I said, how am I going to bring my son to school every day? How am I going to pick him up? I said, I have no family. I have no friends. I have no support system. I said, it's just me grinding for my son. And you're going to sit here and tell me that I have to ruin my son's education because you didn't like the fact that I called your boss? I want her trespassed. She was acting like I wasn't even there. So when I asked the officer what I should do, I was like, what should I do? I was like, where do I go from here? How can I feel safe with my son at this school? I told the officer, I said, and you guys wonder why these kids go crazy. You wonder why they're doing things that they're doing and hurting innocent people because of shit like this. Because the school doesn't take care of their children, period. She is in this for a paycheck. She does not care about these kids. She don't care about the poor. Not that I'm the poor, but children that are different. Children that have special needs, children that don't have money, children that are poor, children that don't have food to eat. Those children are singled out daily at that school. And she finally looked at the cop and said, oh, well, she can come and bring him to school and everything. She's just not allowed in the office. Okay, cool, bet. So the officer gives me his card. I turn around you know, and I go to leave and stuff. The police escort me off the property. I'm so embarrassed at this point because there's 3 police cars and 5 officers, and it was just a lot of unnecessary, unneeded attention. The principal refused to address the issue, refused to address the fact that my son was being bullied, and that was why I was there in the first place. And then after I leave, she turns around and tells the police that I threatened to shoot the school up. I'm sorry, what? What? Bitch, now you know you're lying. You know you're lying. Because if that was the case, I would have been arrested and apprehended right then and there. The only thing that I stated was a proven fact that children that are neglected act out.